as a Thai, but not looking like a Thai. It's sort of like, who is this character? Art for Indians, it's not the most appreciated, understood. What are you gonna do? Art? You're gonna draw for a living? There's this thing called de-skilling. To drop all your skills and sort of now think about concepts and ideas that are worth something. You don't learn the graffiti subject from a school.
Is there a difference between graffiti and street art?
You can just imagine how hard it might be to paint a train. 10 minutes to paint. You really have to get your shit together, know exactly what you're doing, no time wastage. It's a ninja game. Probably take weeks, if not months of planning just to get ready for that 10 minutes. Permission slip is not really the way to go. I want to do this, I'm going to do this. A few dogs barking, and then he started a whole police chase in Bangkok. You have to be ready to run. Ready to talk or run.
Welcome. Today we've got an awesome guest, Nat, from art life, artist, business owner, digital artist, physical artist, graffiti artist, all types of mediums. You make merch.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
What was your first exposure to art that you remember?
I remember, well, my grandfather was an artist. Well, he practiced for a bit, but then he sort of gave up because being from an Indian background, it's not really encouraged to do art so much. Well, it's they sort of let you do more of business roles and something a bit more serious or professional seeming. So he never pursued it too much. But I remember my parents always showing me his work. I was watching him sketch a bit just on napkins and stuff, and that really inspired me as a young kid. And I would just doodle in my free time. My parents always asked us to write. I have a younger sister, and my dad would always tell us to write essays, but I was never good at putting words down and sort of putting ideas into letters and words like that, so I would just draw them out.
Yeah.
And since then, the encouragement and stuff, it was just building up, and that's what sort of helped me.
So it's always been there as
Sort of, yeah.
Did you receive encouragement from your grandfather who was...
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, he would definitely give me big ups and encourage me and like show support and be interested in what I'm doing, sort of thing. Even though sometimes it wasn't in his field of understanding, let's say, but he would still be like, "Cool, art, do it, yeah."
Nice.
And is it something that then you recognized it when you were young, and then you're like, I'm gonna study this, or it's like this was like on the side?
Actually, so I kind of knew that I wanted to pursue it. I mean, I was in school and all the other subjects were fun. I'm a good student too, but I just felt the most at home, the most comfortable in art. And I was spending a lot of time doing art homework instead of the other homeworks, just like, it was just so much more fun and it drew me in more. And I was just like, you know what, like, if I have to do anything in life, I might as well make it art. It makes me happy, so might as well just focus on it and make sure it reaches the goal that I'm trying to set for myself.
Yeah, you mentioned it briefly, like just culturally, how maybe it wasn't something that was incentivized, call it. How else would you say your culture and your background kind of informed your artwork and storytelling and expression?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. I'd say, so overall, art, as for Indians, it's not the most appreciated, understood, but luckily also I have very supportive parents, and they always they were like, wow, beautiful drawings, keep doing this, beautiful. My dad would hang these little drawings that I did in his office, and just as a kid I would see that, okay, they cared about it, and like, it's cool, like someone likes this stuff, and then through that I was just like, okay, like, I'm happy to do it if they're happy, and they're super happy, so I was full on into it. And then I'd say my personal art as well, it's very, well, the style I've developed sort of doesn't really, I wouldn't say it's super traditional. I mean, I have a lot of traditional skills and stuff, but I sort of create this style where it's a bit more psychedelic, a bit more like out of this world, sort of using my colors, my themes. I have this character with a third eye.
Yeah.
And that's sort of related to like the Hindu mythology with Shiva and this like sort of alienation that I sort of feel as well growing up here as a Thai, but not looking like a Thai. It's sort of like, who is this character? And also I like to make my character do things that I sometimes cannot do, or like, yeah, some things that like I don't have the courage to do or the courage to say. My character is free to do all that stuff. Yeah.
And you kind of feel that fluidity of freedom, like there's no barriers when you're...
No, especially with my art, I try not to have. As long as it's, not super, how do you say it? Not super aggressive. Like there's a sensitivity to it as well. So I'm trying not to offend a lot in my art, because it's quite important, especially. I mean, I remember growing up in school here, in my art class, I wanted to do this piece about the tsunami. And I did this huge wave going over Phuket and stuff. And I completely forgot that my teacher, well, she had some bad experiences with that. And when she saw it, she was like, no, like rethink about this, because it's a bit insensitive. And as an artist, you have to have sort of, well, you don't have to have, but it's important to know what can cross the line and what you shouldn't talk about and stuff like that.
Do you feel like you play with that line at all? Or
I do a lot. I do a lot, especially with my parents, especially doing a psychedelic-y theme and a bit wild, wacky. They're a bit like, where are the butterflies? Where are the flowers? You know, like, why can't you draw something beautiful? But to me, it's beautiful. But
you used to draw flowers, and now
exactly. What about the sunset? And I'm like, yeah, there is there. You just have to look a bit deeper, you know. But yeah.
So beyond like your grandfather, and you even talk about how your teacher kind of, maybe inspiration isn't the right word, but kind of shifted your perspective. What other early creative influences did you have that helped shape the artist you are now?
So I remember traveling a lot with my parents. Well, they do a lot of business in Europe, in America, Australia. So I would accompany them as a young kid. And over there on the trains, you would just drive through cities and you would see a lot of graffiti on the side. Just a lot of street art, graffiti, and just art. And I would be like, hey mom, what is this? What is going on? But I would love it. And I would be like, what is this? And she was like, this is graffiti. And I was like, okay, cool. But that was just in the back of my head. Since a kid, I never knew where to start. I never knew how it's even done. So I just knew it. I knew I wanted to do this, but I was just quiet about it and sort of inspired by it, but sort of like, you know, keeping it in.
Yeah, seed was planted.
Did she, with the graffiti, did she kind of say, that's graffiti and it's not good and it's bad?
No. So she was just like, that's graffiti. Look, oh, it's cool, huh? It's super cool.
So it was kind of
exactly.
Because it does have like, in some people think it has like a negative kind of connotation. I think it's kind of like that line that you talked about. It's like you can play with it, you know. But like some
100%.
people have like their line way out here, and some people have their line back here.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Them being super supportive, they were just like, yeah, that's graffiti. Look, it's cool. Wow. I mean, also because they were tourists there, and for them, it's also it's a spectacle a little bit. So they're like, that's awesome. And Thailand, I would say back then had very few street art and public art, let's say. So that was an eye opener,
Yeah. So like all these seeds have been planted over time and kind of were growing. Do you feel like there was a moment that you could recall where it's like, this is the path I'm taking, or did that just kind of naturally? It was
just in school, But I sort of knew as well. I was like, oh man, science is really like, it's really hard on me to do all these like calculations, the biology, the terminology. I was like, I'm not good with this. So I'm gonna just make sure I put 110% in art and like let it run. Like, and it's also like a challenging thing to do and say as well, because you hear a lot about the struggling artist, the artist who's like, what are you gonna do? Art? You're gonna draw for a living? When your parents are out there like slugging, working nonstop, not even a 9 to 5, but like all the time. So you're like, I gotta make it as much as them, but through art. And I'm gonna promise you, I'm gonna try to do the best I can. So I'm fully passionate in it and trying to make it happen that way.
Yeah, very cool.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah.
No, it's really inspiring because all those things that you said, like that mindset that people kind of, it's not just in Thailand, it's not just in India, it's like this kind of like, oh, you're not going to be an artist, you know, there's no struggling artists.
For sure.
It's only those few that break out.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
yeah, it's inspiring to see.
Exactly.
It really is. And knowing from a young age too.
were you like, once you kind of realized this path, were you thinking about how to monetize it? Because I feel like, you know, we know each other a little bit, but from what I see of you, you've done a really great job of kind of like monetizing and figuring out great ways to stay true to your artistic voice, but create dope merch and stickers and like rolling papers, all this cool shit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But that isn't also the driving force for me per se. Luckily, I'm also have some privilege to have some sort of comfort at home where I don't have to grind for too much money all the time. So for me, my art sort of is all passion driven, and I'm making sure that like with this passion, with the skill that I can keep developing, that will sort of lead towards the monetary goal and sort of create something that I find cool and people think is cool. Basically, I'm trying to do things that people think are cool, and that will hopefully get money from it somehow, like that. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to ask about before I kind of went back into your Instagram,
Yep.
I was kind of like scrolling through and seeing, I can see kind of like the progression, like, you know, I didn't go so far back.
Sure.
But there's a good chronology there.
Yeah,
Like
it's my portfolio, basically, yeah.
And it's kind of like, it goes from kind of like fine art and drawings, and then you can see this kind of flair coming into it, more colors. And these characters, or this character, and these characters. Maybe just, I don't know, just a short little, like, is there anything that led towards that? Or it's just kind of like, is it just an evolution of style?
It's like, sort of evolution of style, but also I'm obsessed with drawing. So I like drawing. So in art, you have a bunch of sort of mediums. You have the paintings, you have the sculptors, you have the digital art. But all my stuff sort of stems from this love of drawing. So I love to draw. Whenever I have some free time, I'm always out there just sketching. Even though it's not my style, I'll just sit there, observe a water bottle, and start sketching it. And through that, I have sort of used this drawing medium to sort of propel me into sort of things that aren't completely drawing, but it has a very drawing background to it. So even my paintings, I remember in art school they were saying, oh, this is very drawing like, but it's a painting. It's fully painted, no pencil involved, but it's very drawing style. Yeah. And that comes from observation, from sort of understanding values, tones, and stuff like that.
You mentioned art school, so I went to music school, and I had a very mixed bag of that. I think I didn't realize how to make it work for me until I was almost done with it, and then I was like, oh, I should have been approaching music school from this way.
Right.
Like, did you thoroughly enjoy going to art school? Was it like a bit of a painful, because it's like
mixed
a very
feelings.
rigid environment to learn something that has no boundaries.
100%. A lot of mixed feelings, actually. Because like I said, I'm very traditional art based. Like I like drawing, which is super traditional. It's like fundamentals of art, of what you can consider art. But then, so I went to Canada in Vancouver to art school. And over there, they basically were trying to tell us that in this modern era, well, they show us all the art histories and stuff like that. And then they say that now in this modern contemporary era, we have cameras. So we don't really need to draw anything the way it looks like anymore. You know, so there's no need for that. There's this thing called de-skilling. So it's like, try to drop all your skills and sort of now think about concepts and ideas that are worth something, rather than just drawing a portrait that you can capture with a camera. Rather than being a perfect drawer, try to think about something that's, has an idea, the conceptual value to it. So for me, that was a bit of like a clash in my head. I was like, I'm here to show off my skills, you know, but then over there it was all about, nope, put that aside and really think about the theory of it, the art, the thinking behind it, and how you can talk about it and sell it, or even just produce something that has a bit more of a conceptual value to it. Yeah.
Was it because at that time you were drawing very photorealistic things?
Yes. I mean, I'm obsessed with that. So for me, it's like, I need to be the best drawer, you know, I want to be the best drawer. So over there it was very like, oh, okay, like really? Like my colleagues weren't doing sort of high-skilled drawing and stuff. They were doing a bit more abstract based, which for me broke my head, but I can say I learned a lot from that. Being away from it now, in this environment, I feel like, it did teach me a lot how to further your thinking, your drawing process, and that's where my style also adapted, and sort of I added a bit more, maybe less of that beautiful art, and a bit more of like what the message is or what I'm trying to share. And yeah.
If you could give advice to yourself back then, or someone who would be in a similar position now that you were in back then, what advice would that be?
Just go with the flow. Yeah, go with the flow and just soak it all in. Sometimes it may not make sense back then, but when you're there, just soak it all in and just listen. Make sure to listen to your colleagues, your teachers, and a lot of it didn't make sense, but just if you're just listening and you're just taking it in, it will make sense eventually. Yeah.
A different perspective, different context later will
Completely.
just change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It has a just from like I'm the non-artist among you, right? And it just has a little bit like going into art school or going into music school. It has like this different feeling because there's not like a place to reach. Well, for me, like it feels like there's not a place to reach. It's like, okay, if I go to business school, I finish this, I get this. Now I have this, and I can get a job here, right?
Right.
It's like art school. It's like at the end, you are still an artist. When you arrived, you were an artist, and now you are an artist.
Right.
Yeah, it's just interesting to think about.
You're an artist with a sick piece of paper that has like a nice stamp from an institution.
Yeah, basically, and a whole bunch of canvases in your bedroom.
Yeah, but I feel like that might make the process even more valuable because the others are just trying to attack. I mean, there's learnings along the way, obviously, but I don't know. It just feels a bit different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be able to monetize with art right after art school is quite challenging. It's quite tough.
Is there a section of art school that is focused on monetizing it, or no?
To be honest, not that I remember. No, not really.
Skip those lessons.
Yeah, I know I was there, but no, it was just a bit more like, it was just an artist, like pure art, like just like soaking in all of this art, this history, this theory. Basically, well, what they did well was they really taught us how to understand art, how to look at a piece of art, whether it was like a beautiful painting or an abstract painting or just a sculpture or a water bottle, and just how to analyze it and go deeper and see the art in it. So understanding the different sort of terminology firstly, and then also like what makes it art and what kind of added value it has later on. Yeah.
In art school, was it your first time being surrounded by that many other artists, or did you have a nice community prior to that?
We did. So in Phuket, in art school, in my high school, art was not so popular. So when I was graduating, doing my IB program, there was only 3 artists in our studio, basically. And the other subjects had like 20, 30 kids, and then art was only 3. So that was very wholesome, close-knit, we were all sharing ideas, very cutesy, sort of easy to handle. And then over there, it was like, whoa, okay, I'm a small fish, you could say, like, okay, these guys, some of them like totally knew their shit. Some people were like super advanced. Some people were like dressing up as an artist and like, like ready to go. And I was like, I've got Vans on, like, where am I? Like, I'm sort of behind, or like, did I skip that? Like, where did they get this idea from, but yeah, so it was a bit overwhelming for sure. It's just seeing everyone with their art, and some people already had their style coming into school. Some people had no idea. And for me, it was like, okay, I knew I was in the right place because I had my skills. I was like not falling behind, but for sure it was the first time I was with so many artists. Yeah,
of course.
Were you doing graffiti, kind of transitioning into the graffiti side of things a bit? Were you already doing graffiti at that time, or is that something you found yourself doing later?
Later for sure. So like I said, I had no idea how these things were done. I was totally clueless. My intro to graffiti was through stickers. You can see like the easiest way, you get some stickers printed of your art, and then you're there. You can just start putting stickers. That's the easiest way. That's where I understood, okay, it's just a sticker on the thing. But then, so that's how I started in Canada, and then I came back, practiced my art, doing murals, normals, illustration stuff, and then slowly I met my business partner now, and he basically saw my character on my shirt, and he was like, hey, I saw your sticker on the street. I paint graffiti too, and then we exchanged our work, and sort of from there it just grew, and he sort of was my mentor, you could say that. Yeah, because you don't learn the graffiti subject from a school, or there's no institution that will show you this way. It's really like by chance or trial and error, basically. You make it or break it kind of thing.
And is there many graffiti artists on the island?
I'd say the locals, you can, about 7, 8 locals.
Yeah, okay.
So Thai people, a mix of Russians, some
Yeah.
French guys. But luckily we live on such a touristy island that we have so many high-skilled and totally different graffiti artists coming on holiday here. So we have a lot of that, just changing and growing graffitis, different styles and different perspectives, and yeah. So that's great for us here.
And can I ask, like, is there a difference between graffiti and street art? Like,
Yes.
what that is to you?
Yes,
Like, what
yes,
that
yes, for sure. I mean, different people will say different things,
Yeah.
have different lines, like you said. But for me, definitely. So graffiti falls under the easiest way to understand it is letters. So if it has letter based, so if it has alphabets basically or letters, that would be more graffiti. And street art would be more of like public art, more of like a visual that everyone can appreciate and enjoy. Whereas graffiti is also more, so graffiti, it's basically, you have this AKA, you have your name that you want to basically promote around the world. It's like you have a company, but the company is yourself, and you want to put these billboards of your business everywhere in the world so that people can see it. But it's not for anyone else, it's just for your own ego, basically. So it's an ego-based game, and it's all about like, hey, look, I can be everywhere. And yeah.
So it sounds like graffiti is more than just art for you.
Oh, for sure. It's like it's a lifestyle, it's a way of life, it's a culture. And it's, yeah, completely. And it's quite small, it's still quite niche, that like, and it's almost cult-like. So it's like, if you're a practicing graffiti artist and you go, it's like, that's all you're almost thinking about all the time. Like you're sort of like living that lifestyle. And when you meet another person, it's like you automatically like, you're best friends with them for life sort of thing, you know? Because like, you're both like being crazy together in a way, you know? It's like people don't understand it, so you're always thinking about this, you're always sketching, you're always reading names on the streets, you're always seeing from the tags to the stickers to, your eyes are like, okay.
It's like little messages in plain sight.
100%, exactly, exactly. If you know sort of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Okay. Sure.
In boarding school, I met a guy from Hong Kong, English guy, his family's from Hong Kong, and I met him and he introduced me to rap music.
Right,
He introduced me to some particular artist, Shake 5, right? And this guy he was very interesting, but he was really into his graffiti. And that's kind of like the only time I was exposed. And then I watched some videos to prepare.
Sure.
And it's so interesting.
It's like completely,
on the drive this morning, I'm just looking at places thinking, no, you couldn't do it there, but there's okay.
Yeah, right.
And there's rules to it.
Right.
There's like rules or like
there are
etiquette.
Yeah,
a lot of
100%,
etiquette.
100%.
I think that's quite interesting. Like,
yep.
It's like a game a little bit.
Completely. Yeah. High skill, high dedication, high passion, and a lot of planning goes into this stuff. Because you'll be surprised with some of the spots. I mean, like, so traditionally graffiti, before the walls, it was born on the trains. So people are out there painting trains, getting their name on a train because the train is going to travel. And that's the best way to get your name across different places, especially in Europe where a train goes from country to country. In America, goes from states to countries. So that's the birthplace of it, you could say. And you can just imagine how hard it might be to paint a train. And you probably have like 10 minutes to paint. So you really have to get your shit together, know exactly what you're doing, have no time wastage. It's a ninja game, so it's a quiet thing. You're in there. It's no talking. It's a meditation complete. Yep. And just for a 10-minute train painting session, you probably take weeks, if not months, of planning just to get ready for that 10 minutes.
And that has a lot to do with the skill and movement of the can,
100%.
right?
Exactly. So a lot of practice, a lot of sketching. Because you don't want to go there and start like getting nervous and having shaky lines or, forgetting, I don't have a color for that. No.
Yeah.
That's like the final boss of graffiti, basically. You need to know exactly what you're doing.
And is there, Is that one of the reasons why a lot of graffiti artists just use one tag or one name or one thing that they? It's like a doodle that
exactly.
You know, like I draw like a palm tree and a turtle. I've always just drawn these two things.
That's it. You know? That's it. So it's your signature.
Yeah,
it's your signature. You keep. Yeah, you just want to make sure like you want that name to be worldwide, to be well known. So when people come, they're like, I've seen your. Okay, yeah, you're famous. Well, like famous to the writers.
Yeah.
Have you ever painted a train or a subway?
No, I've never, no. Growing up in Phuket, we have no trains here, so for me, no, never.
Well, they are talking about one day a high school.
Yeah, I know, and I'm excited. The light rail, I'm totally excited, yeah. But Phuket is a small place too, so it's very easily traced back and small communities,
Well, you have a few years to plan your 10 minutes.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I'm ready to go, but
what's the craziest place you've ever done graffiti?
The craziest place. Good question. I would say maybe in Bangkok. I painted just by the train station. Just like there's just like this river, and then I hopped down into the little ledge by the train station and did a piece there. Just a quick 10-minute thing.
Can you talk about the planning process for that specific piece?
So that one, because it's not inside. It's more of a public space, you could say. So it didn't require too much of like understanding time schedules and breaking and entering or anything like that. So for me, it was more just like going with a friend, having him be my photographer and a lookout. So there's this thing called a lookout where they'll just basically tell you, hold on a sec, someone's coming, or, you know. So he was just there on the opposite side watching me. But it was done in not even 10 minutes and no problem.
And it's still there?
And it's still there.
And when you go up to Bangkok? Even if you don't have to go that way, do you go check it out?
Sometimes. Usually, so a lot of the community, they will, when they pass it, they'll take a pic, send it to you, just show you that, hey, it's still running. Hey, your piece is still there, you know.
That must feel nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, my friend just sent me that yesterday actually, and I was like, hell yeah, that's cool.
To subscribe. If we hit 100 subscribers within a week, I'll never come again. Just 100. It's not much. You can make a man stop coming. It's in your power.
And have you had anyone? This is terminology is new for me, but have you had anyone go over the top? I forgot the word.
What's
the word when you tag over the top?
You could say like toy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like when someone toys you.
Okay.
Yeah. So in graffiti, the word toy is also another word for like a newbie.
Like a wannabe or noob?
Wannabe, sure.
Yeah.
A noob, a rookie, not a rookie, well, a noob. Someone who doesn't fully understand the rules, the game, and they just think this is what they're supposed to do, or they have not the best skill or not the best tag and stuff. You can call them a toy.
Yeah.
And then when they go over you, that's like you're getting toyed, basically.
Okay.
And that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
So you definitely don't want to go over anyone's graffiti.
Yeah.
But there's also rules so it starts with a tag. A tag is those scribbles you see, those messy, sometimes drippy scribbles on the. So that's like executed in a shorter amount of time. So when you have like 2 minutes or a minute, you can do a quick tag, and then it sort of evolves into a throw up. It's called a throw up. So the bubble letters that you see, the big rounded. And those aren't so pretty, hence the name throw ups. So it's a bit like it's 3 minute, just quick circles, quickest way to get your name out there in a large scale. And then it goes on to a piece. So a piece is a bit more elaborate. You have a bit more colors, have some bubbles, have some, a bit more style. That's what I mostly do. So I like to stick to pieces just because it has a bit more of it takes longer to make for sure, but I don't know. For me personally, I enjoy doing them more.
And
looks
for you, would you prefer to do a nice piece somewhere that you have a bit more time, or somewhere a little bit more dangerous and like do something?
A bit of both. I don't mind a bit of both.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not gonna lie, it does get boring if there is no adrenaline to it. So like when you're painting with a permission slip, it's fun. You can get your name out there. It's a nice spot. But then the rush, you don't really have the thrill of it.
Yeah.
And you kind of crave that. So then you have to sort of find a balance of like, okay, this is chilled, but what about some place that also gives you a bit of a kick? That sort of fuels it a bit more.
Yeah.
And that's also, as in the graffiti game, like it's so a permission slip is not really the way to go. So you're not meant to ask anyone to be able to paint somewhere. It's supposed to just be like, I want to do this, I'm going to do this for myself, for my ego, for myself, like that.
But in saying that too, there are like these kind of rules or like code of honor. I said like not tagging over somebody's work, or I saw that like you don't do private houses or people's fences or their cars. There's like certain spots.
That's kind of understood. That like
But I don't think the general public know that. I mean, I didn't know that. And
temples, graveyards, private homes, cars. Stuff like that is sort of a no-no.
And that kind of moved it in my mind from like, oh, people don't like graffiti because people are vandalizing someone's property. But when you know that these are the kind of the unspoken rules of the good guys. You know what I mean? The good guys spreading art and culture. It changes your perspective a little bit, I think, you know?
Sure. And going back to the thing that like, you don't really learn these rules from a school or anything. So it's a very like passed down knowledge from friends, from culture, but some people just have no access to it and hence they create toy stuff. Right? So they forget or they don't even know, and then you have a nice piece and then they just come and write their name over it thinking, this is a graffiti spot, I can do this. But like, oh, that's a legend, and you're just you're crossing over him, you know, and it's like, So sort of sometimes like, the lack of knowledge sometimes creates this also like, for the public, the distaste of graffiti, you could say. Do
you think it should be considered vandalism when you're talking about tagging on in public places, or no, that's just based on this misconception that we kind of talked about?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm part of it, I don't... Sure, you can say it's vandalism. Yeah, you could. And I think graffiti writers also pride themselves with that as well. But they also, like it's a lot of planning based, and it's not only, you have a few who are here to just destroy, basically like destroy in the graffiti sense. Well, just like sort of get their name up by any means possible, any spot possible. Well, apart from those that we mentioned. And then you have a bit more who are like a bit planning about like, because you also have to think about, let's say you paint something, if they really don't like it, it's gone in a day. It's gone in a day. So you have to make sure that you're doing something that is worth it, worth your paint, worth the time, and worth the piece that it's going to stay up for a year or 2, 3, 4, 5.
I this little prep that I did for the talk, I watched, and this guy was an Australian guy and was talking how the train conductors, a lot of them actually like the art. So they have kind of this unspoken rule where they don't go over the carriage numbers. So you tape the carriage numbers, and you tape all the serial numbers so that you know the trains can still function like normal.
100%. 100%.
Nice
exactly.
paint,
exactly.
You know?
So now there's this thing where when you paint the train, you skip the windows. Because once you hit the windows, they send the train to clean. But as long as it's not on the windows, it can run. Depending on the train, most times it runs still.
And that's kind of like the ultimate goal. They leave it there, right? You know, so it's like this middle ground.
That's what you're hoping for, that it stays. But a lot of the times, a lot of these train riders, they're also okay with just spending months of planning, painting a 10-minute panel, having a pick tomorrow, and having it being gone. I
think that's a different type of...
I mean, they're also adrenaline junkies a bit, And it's that pick. It's like, I just want to do it for the pick, you know?
I'm trying to think if there's any other art that is like that adrenaline junkie type. There's like... I can't think of anything.
It's kind of... It seems like it could be very addictive if you get 100%. That rush. It's like riding 100%. A motorbike.
Yes,
like really, like in Bangkok, I used to go out on some roads and like late at night, and only just to drive fast. And I stopped doing it because it was dangerous. But I just felt this rush.
No, 100%, 100%, 100%.
I think you would liken it to that when you're doing something you shouldn't be doing.
100%, 100%. The adrenaline, it does fuel you, and then you do get addicted to it, sort of. you do crave that. That's why sometimes when you're painting a legal spot, it's not as enjoyable as like you can spend hours and hours on that, and then you're like still missing that that crave, that thrill, So yeah, that's definitely a part of it for sure.
Is that the primary driver of why to put yourself in dangerous situations with this, or it's more than that for you?
It's more than that. It's a mix of so many things. So it's about like getting your name out there. It's about the thrill. It's about the letter science, the letter style. So it's also a lot of like dedication of like sketching and making sure you're like having your font, basically your style, like just working on it and having it look strong, and there's a lot of pride in there, and and people see that and they sort of give you respect, like big ups. You get big ups by like, hey.
That's like they use that term.
Exactly. Big ups. Yeah. So basically, painting graffiti is like, it's called getting up.
Yeah.
So you want to get up a lot. So whoever's up in the city, it's like you're famous. You're up there. Yeah. So you want to be up, basically.
And some artists, they're called artists. Or is there another name?
Graffiti writers.
Writers. Okay.
Writers. Yeah.
So is there some writers that stay completely anonymous?
110%.
Yeah.
Many.
Some have bridged the gap.
Many.
To be kind of both. They are this person and.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
And
I mean, yep.
That's you?
Yes, completely. Yeah. Completely.
So that might also determine like what things you will and won't do too.
100%.
Because there's a
That's
line.
it. That's it. That's it. That's it. And it also, exactly, because the purists, they're all about anonymity.
Yeah.
Have no Instagram, not showing their face. So you'll know them, but then when they're doing their work, they're straight, blocking their face.
Yeah.
And I do have some friends message me sometimes like, hey bro, like don't share that on your Instagram or cover your face. And for me, I'm trying to find the balance because I am a practicing artist as well. I have my job full time and I'm a graffiti artist. But yeah, so I'm trying to find that balance. But then it also shows that like, if you're showing your face or if you have this Instagram, it's like, how committed are you to the game? You're like sort of, you're going public with it. Whereas like the vandals or the real destroyers, they're covering their face, they're living underground. They're sort of like, no one knows about this, not even their girlfriend, their mother, no one.
Yeah.
They're sort of keeping it super hush hush.
It's cool.
Different type of rush.
Yeah, different, completely. So there's many levels to it.
Yeah.
Do you have any crazy stories like from friends or from yourself that like some of the crazy shit that's gone down?
For sure. I mean, we met a friend. I won't say anything about him, but like we met a friend who was in Phuket. Then he went to Bangkok, and he wanted to paint a Bangkok train, and he was successful with it. So he painted a train in Bangkok, not the BTS, but a commuter train. So he painted one, and then he felt like it was too easy, so he went back to paint another one the next day. And so instead of painting in the dark, I think he wanted to paint where the spotlight was, just to get that super like, I've conquered it. I'm painting in the light. And so he started, and a few dogs were barking, and then he started a whole police chase in Bangkok based off that. Yeah, but he got away.
Okay.
Yeah, he got away. But like, that's it. Like, you have to be ready to run if you're doing these things.
And
ready to talk or run, but most people like to run. So.
And what type of trouble would you get in if say he did get caught?
Yep. Probably, in Thailand, money talk. So probably a heavy fine.
Yeah. Okay.
A fine.
An unofficial fine.
Yeah, it depends. Depends how you play your game exactly. Yeah. But probably a heavy fine regardless.
Just a fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe a night or two.
Yeah. Okay.
Worst case, I think. But or deportation.
If he's not, not national. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I have no idea with trains because I'm not sure if that's part of a royal property as well. So that might be a heavier sentence, in Thailand especially. That's why we tried not to recommend it, but you cannot stop anyone in this world, in this game at least. So.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about how when you were younger, there was not much of a scene here in Phuket and maybe across Thailand for graffiti. That seems to be changing a bit.
100%.
Where do you see this kind of going within Thailand?
Yeah, I think it can go far for sure. Right now in Southeast Asia, Indonesia is leading it. So Indonesia is the graffiti mecca of Southeast Asia.
Cool.
So they're starting to produce a bunch of spray paint brands, many. They have a few like festivals, jams. The public is super embracing it. I've seen videos where like these like not grandmothers but really like older women are spray painting, you know, with their hijabs on and just like going in, and it's like it's sort of wholesome to see that sort of like the embracing of graffiti, and like it's not as hush there, and it's open, and it's like I've heard some stories that like a lot of the guys there, even though you're not a graffiti artist, you can use a spray can and paint something with skill. Just these kids can just, I can do some character easily, and you're quite impressed by it. But they won't call themselves an artist or even a graffiti artist.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it sort of shows that, sure, like maybe Thailand can be more open to it and have more spaces for that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's color, it's style, it's artistic, you know, vision and stuff like that.
I see, like, I mean, at one point, graffiti, in my mind at least, was like considered vandal, like people are doing it, they're not, doing the wrong thing, putting it somewhere, right? But now it's kind of like there's companies paying for street art,
right,
or murals or pieces to be put on their wall of their business or involved in their marketing. So there is kind of like a
there is a commercial use for it as well, and like a win-win sort of. But it just also depends who you ask. If you ask a purist, they're like, no way should graffiti be paid for or this and that. No permission, you know. They will say it's called graffiti art.
Yes, it's not graffiti. It's not the pure.
Exactly, it's graffiti art.
Yeah.
There's that famous story of David Cho and Facebook.
Yeah, right.
Do you know this?
Right.
I didn't know the artist's name, but
Facebook hired him to go into their office and paint some murals, and they offered him either money on the spot or equity in the company.
Yep.
He chose equity in the company, and at the time he was the richest living artist because of that.
Because of that.
But I don't know if that's still the case. But
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Exactly.
Smart
At the end
dude.
of the day, graffiti writers, you got to survive somehow, right?
Yeah.
With either you work a 9 to 5 or you do your thing, or you. Lucky for me, I mean, I have some art skill, I have some art background, so I can also use my art to monetize, and then through that sort of work with my graffiti and keep it wholesome that way.
Cool.
You know.
I want to talk about your shop, but before we do that, digital art.
Yep.
And this is, something that I'm interested in. It intrigues me, based on your work. Like, what kind of brought you into that world?
Yeah. So I'm like a multimedia guy. I like to be. Like I said, I like drawing, but on paper and pencil, it can get boring sometimes. So then you start to draw on other things, on drawing on the iPad, for example, if you're going digital art. So like, for me, I was just also like, whoa, this iPad, digital, you can do so many more things. You can erase it. You don't have to waste so much paper. All your tools are here. You have all the 100 brushes. So that for me was like, it drew me into that sort of form of art, that medium of art. And so I was just basically drawing on that.
And did that exploration come around the same time as when you were looking at NFTs, or that was prior to?
It was slightly before. So I was getting used to it, practicing, starting my work on there. And then so I had a few crypto friends in Bangkok they were in the game, I'm sure like you've met so many, but they were in the game before it went viral or mainstream. And they were always just sending me these things, these NFTs, and I was also, actually when I draw, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I remember people starting to talk about this, like, NFTs, like tokens and this and that. But I had no idea. For me, I'm just listening. I'm just listening. It's like a background noise. But okay, I sort of knew about this, and then my crypto friends were like, hey bro, like you should make them. And this was early-ish with the NFTs, let's say, when the Bored Apes were coming out, and like the hype was still going up. And I was like, okay, I have to spend money to do this. It sounds weird, sounds a bit annoying. So I actually did like one of my easy sketches. I didn't tell anyone about it, but I tried to mint it as an NFT, but I knew nothing about gas fees, about this and that. And they were like, expected gas fees, $50, but I was like, no way, I'm gonna just put $2. and it never went through because I had no idea. I was like, why am I paying $50? I'm gonna just put 2, So, and I even forget the terminology now, but it never went through. So it never minted. It never got in the blockchain. And then I was like, I don't get this stuff. I feel like I'm just gonna waste money buying crypto and trying to put this in, and I don't know where it's going and stuff like that. So I wasn't sure, but they kept pressuring me. They were like, come on, do it. We'll buy it. And I was like, right, okay. Then I started with a sketch, my Ether Goons.
Still the sickest ETH art that exists.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just love the concept of it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it was in the moment. It's literally just me getting...
they were the Ether Goons, your friends, huh?
Basically, in a way, yes. That's how I felt. Because it was almost like I had no choice. They were like, come on, make these. And they were holding me hostage. And so the art's basically these goons forcing me to create mint NFTs, basically, to the point.
When I saw it, I was just, because I was in crypto, and I felt like I feel this. I know what this is like.
Right. Yeah,
get on board.
Exactly that. So I was like, okay, I'll just put that concept into my art, into the NFTs.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and then so they sort of supported me in my first work, and then somehow my work's picked up just through by fans or followers or someone. Some people just saw that, okay, people are buying this, let me just check it out.
And that was a collection of 12? Was
5.
Oh, just
so the
5.
First one was just 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Just on Ethereum, on Foundation.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool.
And then next you worked on the Jagoons.
The Jagoons, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my younger cousin was also getting into NFTs, but more, not crypto, well, he was more trading NFTs, flipping NFTs, buying the hot ones, selling them, doubling, making whatever his profit, like especially with the rarities and stuff like that. So he was showing me all these things like, hey, look, dude, like you can do these things where you have some rare items, you have some cool ones, some approachable ones, some like relatable stuff, something like that. Have a sort of a collection rather than just have like one-off artworks. And with the collections, as you know, it's a bit cheaper, it's a bit more like easier to collect. It's a collectible at the end of the day. So he was telling me about that, and he was super into Cardano.
So two interesting
You go.
Two interesting things about that collection for me.
Yeah.
One is the fact that you minted on Cardano.
Yeah.
And the other is kind of like the gamification puzzle aspect to it, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
Maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Sure. The Cardano was because I started to pay a lot of gas fees just to mint my NFTs on Ethereum. And I was just like, and it was like the hot time of NFTs. So I was like, this is expensive, I pray that it sells, otherwise I'm just like spending my own money minting these things. And it was quite expensive. I remember like my first NFT I minted at like $100. For me, I was like, okay, that's 3,000-ish baht. Like, okay. And it kept getting cheaper the more I understood about gas time, gas tracking and stuff like that, So it was, but then I was like, this is a bit, and then Cardano was literally like 20, 30 baht to mint an NFT.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is fun. Like now I can actually I can just make my art, like I can not think about the money side of it and focus on the art side and just like have more fun with it and not like pray that it sells or pray that I make, that I've lost money. So that's what also drew me into Cardano and stuff.
Yeah, you inspired me to get a Cardano wallet, and then I missed it sold out so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, touch wood. Yeah. Lucky that it was. Yeah, it went well. It went well.
It's probably the most activity Cardano had.
Probably.
Yeah.
I know.
When I heard it was on Cardano, I was like, wow. They have NFTs on Cardano?
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of...
It was very fresh. It was like, because ETH did its thing kind of thing, there were so many projects and like you had the dead fellas, the things were going on. There was like the big dogs, the smaller dogs, like everyone. And Cardano was still very new. There was like only like a few blue chips and a few, like every day you'd have like 2 or 3 new drops. And it was very digestible. Like you could totally just see the art, choose the price. I don't know. It was very friendly, especially for like non-NFT, non-crypto users. So like
especially if you're onboarding fans and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Trying to get people to pay the prices that were happening on Ethereum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just to tell them to like load up an ETH wallet with this much money and then tell them that, oh, you need a bit extra, not a bit, but you need a chunk extra for the gas, which you're just going to lose. I'm not going to get that. You're just going to lose it. But just to explain all of that, it took a bit of time. But like in Cardano, they just call it dust fees, and it's like dust. It's, you know, it's almost minuscule. So it's much easier for people to be like, okay, I'm putting in this much and just another 20 baht for the service fee, right? You know.
Can you speak to the gamification and the puzzle aspect?
Yep. So basically, it was 100 characters fit in a puzzle, and so you're buying a character, like a randomized sort of lottery system. You're just buying a character, and but it's like a full map. It's like a whole map that. So I incentivize people to sort of collect characters that are attached to each other that you can sort of puzzle in together. And when you have that, I sort of give you rewards based on that. So if you have like 5 pieces that connect, you might get like a t-shirt and something else, or you might, you know, stuff like that.
I remember thinking it's so cool compared to a lot of the other crap that was going on.
Totally.
You know?
I mean, same. I just remembered, like, because I was also buying and flipping a lot of NFTs, and I sort of was like, I can do way better than this art. Like, but why is this selling for so much? And why are people trying to buy it at resale value and stuff? And I didn't understand. And I was like, you know, as an artist, I don't just want to sell some BS sort of thing. So I was like, no, I'm going to put my heart and soul, think about this, and have some sort of utility. I mean, the art I think, looks sick already, but some sort of thing that they can be proud of and sort of collect and create a market where they want to trade, and, you know, a bit more of like a trading aspect and collectible fun thing.
Yeah, it's definitely unique.
Do you see yourself continuing down the NFT rabbit hole?
Yes. Funnily, I'm actually back into doing some pixels at the moment.
Solana Goons coming soon?
Oh, maybe. I need to get back into the Web3 and learn about my chains again and what's hot, what's not, and stuff like that.
A lot more options now.
Right. Yeah. What's strong, what's working, what's, you know, exactly all that. Yeah.
I also think now that it's like dead, it's a perfect time to like really have conviction and do some dope art and really build something cool.
That's it. I agree. I don't want to be late comer again, you know, just especially now that I've had my first waves and stuff. I know the game a bit more. I feel like, I want to be more prepared and a bit more better execution and stuff like that.
And some different chains, like some different ecosystems have like different community vibes. So you might feel that like you gravitate more towards these guys or these guys. And
100%.
There is a lot more, dare I say, culture, but like there is a little bit more like tribalism forming, and that might play to certain strengths of your art and things like that. So,
right. Yeah, I need to just back into the research mode and stuff, because I'm also...
I think Bear Chain would be cool. You know,
Bear Chain?
Yeah, I think
is that a new...
They got this vibe. That might suit some of your art, I think.
Cool. I'll definitely check that out.
They're doing crazy, wild stuff.
Nice.
Not all great, but it's it's good. Hypey. Big thanks to our sponsor,
BTC Space in Phuket. Awesome facility, big meeting rooms like this one we're in here. There's small meeting.
Hard fork
room. There's the Satoshi room. There is the green screen media space. There is a co-working space with a coffee shop downstairs.
Good piccolo.
Good Americano. Awesome VR studio to play a bunch of games. You can rent an office here. I think they also have services to help you if you're setting up a company in Phuket. So just reach out to them.
Money exchange downstairs, crypto to cash, cash to crypto.
Everything you need for a good time.
Branded water bottles.
Most importantly. So come check out BTC Space. There's definitely like, it's a mixed bag for artists and creators. Like some people love NFTs and crypto and some people fucking hate it.
100.
Like, why do you think there's such that diversity of thought? Like, because I'm just such a believer that it's so valuable for artists, not even just from like a monetization, just like ownership. If you're making digital work.
100%. And I see that too. The ownership, the proof, the authentication, all that stuff. But I think sometimes in the crypto Web3 space, it's also a bit cult-like in a way. It's like like when you're into it, you're so into it that that's all you want to talk about too. I remember myself in those days where I was like, when I was going dinner with my friends, I just wanted to talk about like
NFTs.
exactly. And I got some of them in, but then some of them were like, oh, come on, man. Like, talk about something else. Like, what are you saying? Like, again? Like, are you going to mint something at midnight again? Like, you don't want to hang out? Like, I'm like, dude, you don't get it. But I'm going to try to tell you anyway. But yeah, it was stuff like that. Just, just when you're into it, you get really into it. And sometimes it can be boring for people who are like, who don't really even use a computer and stuff, and they're trying to stay like low key, low profile, and you're here with them like,
You just cut those people out of your life, man.
so, yeah, exactly. But like talking about, oh, I lost money, I made money. For them, it's also like,
Just live in Discord. And
yeah, exactly.
Turn off
All that. Hey man, join my Discord. They're like, dude, what is Discord? Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So I feel like that. It's like, also when things get like mainstream, you have the haters, obviously, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to. Sounds boring, like,
So much of the narrative is money, that it turns
That's
you
true.
off.
That's what I think it is too.
That's also
like
it.
as like artists and creators, like
Yep.
when you see people just coming in and profiteering off stuff,
Yeah.
like it's obviously it's value extraction.
Exactly.
You guys can clearly see it.
Exactly.
And I think you're just looking at it from a different angle.
Exactly. I mean, you also see the big examples of like the NFTs, like the rocks and stuff like that. It's like, how do you explain to anyone what this is and why is that has that price tag on it and why is it nice and stuff?
I shouldn't have spent my life savings on the rocks.
Yikes! Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But like, you're also
bag
deeper
full,
into
you
it.
might
No,
have
I
a
don't.
different.
Yeah.
I don't own any rocks.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's harder to explain when that's like the leaders, and you're
Exactly.
like, really, you're gonna do NFTs? You're gonna do some monkeys? Like,
They're just JPEGs, right?
yeah, stuff like that. So I'm just like, oh, nah, guys, I'm gonna make it with my heart, dedication, and I even made a game out of my goons. So I made like this little platformer game, sort of like Temple Run mixed with Jetpack Joyride
Yeah. Okay.
in a way, where you just play with this goon that runs around and you're collecting coins.
Oh, cool.
And
Yep.
the game isn't on Web3, but it also just builds a bit more of an incentive to play
Yeah.
and use your character and sort of like, I made a game. I made this thing where if you're the fastest runner, I'll give you a free NFT.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, strengthening the IP around the brand.
Sort of, exactly. Giving it a use case, right? More than just the JPEG, it has that like, okay, it can go further somewhere. Or
And also, it's like an artist's collection that has so much more to it than just like another 10,000 collection that's sold.
Yeah,
like now
exactly,
full
exactly.
prices
Exactly.
way down here.
I think a majority of NFT creators and projects should be looking to examples like you of like how to actually, make
I
something
did look at
interesting.
examples of like some real artists who I really respect
Yeah.
and like how they were doing
How they
it.
navigate.
Yep. Their whitelist and no, not whitelist. Sorry, what's the roadmap? Roadmap. Yeah, just looking at their roadmap and seeing how they're actually like doing something useful with it, and because they have the provenance already, so like something that it's more than a JPEG, and how it's like being a part of that community too. That okay, look, I own something that this famous artist has made, sort of thing.
Do you think that graffiti writers would ever want anything
I
to do with
actually
the blockchain?
I have a NFT from a graffiti writer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, he hasn't done much since. But I'm still proud to own that
Yeah.
NFT. For me, it's sick. Katsu. His name is Katsu.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's also a multimedia-ish graffiti artist. So he deals with a lot of technology and stuff. So he will like code drones to go up and fly and paint graffiti for him.
That's sick.
And it's like in living in the future sort of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll have a drone that just goes up and writes Katsu for him, and like 3-4 drones, one's doing the outline, and it's crazy. It's like super next level futuristic. So he created these Katsu drones, NFTs, where they're just going around and then painting this like a little message, like a poem sort of thing. And so I bought that, and I'm proud of it, but he doesn't do much from it. Like, I mean, the community's a bit pissed off, but but I don't really care. I mean, I'm just there for the lulz. Yeah. But yeah, there definitely are graffiti artists doing it. Big crews have done like 3D models of their works. So they've taken like their buildings where they've painted, they've sort of 3D scan it somehow, and then it's just spinning, and you can own that sort of piece of that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Talking about living in the future, what are your thoughts on AI as an artist?
Ooh, I think it's okay. I mean, I'm not like in love with it. I don't like I don't support it that much myself personally. But I think for me, I'm just mind blown at what it can do and stuff. Like some of the things, it's like, whoa, like, respect. Like I can't even do that stuff yet, you know. But I mean, it's a computer doing things, but still, it's like, I don't know. I'm just mind blown by it.
Yeah, so you don't use it too much, not even just in art, but just like daily life in any type of way?
Not in daily life, but I do use a bit of it in art sometimes. Well, like a lot of like, sometimes like when you're drawing form and stuff, you need references. And sometimes like you need a pose that you won't find on Google and stuff, or you don't want a pose that Google has done like, or people have copied it 100 times already. So you can just input that and sort of like use AI to create references for you. But it's still a reference for my own work. So I'm not like, that's it, that's my work. No, I'm just like, okay, got that pose and then I'm recreating it.
When you need mutated hands or whatever.
Basically, yeah. Love the hands, love the feet. Yeah.
They corrected the hands. I mean, it's getting
Really?
The hands are like getting real.
Okay, because I swear I see some things that are AI art and I look at the hands and I'm like, that's not that bad. Maybe it's not. But if you're saying it's getting better, then it's that's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Soon you won't be able to know.
Right.
We do AI for our blogs just quickly to like, and I like to get all dystopian and weird with it and create these big images, these big pieces, and in those cases there'll be people like missing an arm in the background or something like that. You know?
When it's a big
stuff. Freaky.
That nearly adds to it, I think.
Yeah, I like.
If you like that, same. I don't mind that. For me, that's like
something like in art, and I think about it from a music perspective, is like something that is seen as a negative now, like in the 90s, digital distortion. People did not like that, and now it's like poppin'. People love digital distortion because it's like a nostalgic thing to the 90s. I feel like that's going to happen with some of this shit with AI. It's like you look to the flaws of previous generations because it becomes part of the nostalgia and the experience. And so soon, it's going to be missing arms and legs everywhere.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You'll be putting in the prompt, and please fuck up.
Stop making the arms normal.
Mangled.
Yeah.
And may I ask what kind of what AI software do you guys use?
I mean, I'm using ChatGPT every day for like productivity stuff, helping me just churn out like things that would normally take a lot of time.
And you're subscribed to it, sort of? Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, that's the best one, I think, right?
I use it.
Or Midjourney or something. Right?
Yeah, well, I use DALL-E within ChatGPT. I know Midjourney's better, but I just have my subscription and it works for me.
Cool.
And then like, I use Notion for project management and that has its own AI built in. So I kind of use that AI.
I see. Interesting.
I want to start using more audio and music AI. One thing that I find interesting, you're talking about like using it as a source or reference.
Yeah.
You can get away with like sampling is such a big aspect of hip hop. I do a lot of that. You can now make your own samples that sound like the 60s or the 70s and you don't have to...
It's complete hack. Yeah.
So I want to do more of that, but...
That makes sense, yep.
AI?
Mainly ChatGPT. I don't even have a premium version of it.
Right. Fair enough.
Because it's so good free.
Right, yeah.
It's crazy.
But are you doing like the visual stuff or mostly like just like...
I don't really need the visual stuff. I don't know how on the free version if the visual stuff is very good. Because the few times that I have tried it, it hasn't worked out as well as... But I don't know if I just...
prompts. It's also
my
the
mind
language
isn't as messed up as his and I can't, create these crazy prompts.
Yeah.
My human mind still has some use.
For now.
Right.
But it is amazing when you do start using it. You talked about skill deterioration or something earlier with artists, like they stop drawing photorealistic.
Yeah, right. For sure.
But I can feel I have to do this thing. And I go, okay, I'm going to sit down to do it. And then I use ChatGPT to do it.
Yeah.
Now I'm not doing it that way.
Yeah.
And it kind of deteriorates certain skills.
For sure, I can see
But I'm trying to embrace... Because it's not going away.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So I'm trying to embrace it, like some writing that I was doing. At first, I was just using it to do outlines. And then I would write everything in between.
Right. References, guides.
But it still takes a lot of time. So then I was like, then I did some, like felt a bit bad doing some like nearly like generated from ChatGPT.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is like writing work, right? And I still have to go through and edit and put some humanism in it, but essentially that once the thing knows you a little bit and knows how you write or knows how you want to write, it gets, so I think that the next level of that is get the subscription and make chat like GPTs
Your
every
stuff,
single part of
basically.
my life. You know, and when I speak to these people, I use this one, and when I create stuff for this, I use this one. But I do have a little bit of fear of doing that because of this.
For sure. I mean, you get used to it, then you start to loosen up, and you forget yourself. Like sometimes it's tough for me to even write an email and stuff. Like, you know, I'm just like.
I met a guy yesterday who had just started using it for his business, and it's like he has a new lease on life.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I put this new social media calendar together and I wrote all these. I'm starting to get work again. I was just like,
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's freeing up. He's had this road, this block.
For sure.
And it's just completely removed that, you know?
Yeah. Can either lead to like a better world where we have more time to focus on things that are great for us and productive,
like writing,
or it's just going to make us all blobs of like lazy.
Exactly.
So fun future ahead.
Yep.
I saw someone said like on Twitter, she just posted and she said, I thought that the robots would be doing the laundry.
And
I would have more time to write poetry and write and do art.
Now it's the opposite.
The other way around, you know? And I just think it will seep down.
Probably,
to these other
100%.
things.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think it's a mistake not to be diving in because it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
I'm not going to.
For me, I have a big problem when I'm using ChatGPT for the tech stuff. I have no idea how to talk to the robot or the machine. I'm just like, hey, sorry to disturb, but could you please I'm like,
have any time?
Like something like that. And my friend's like, bro, just command it. Just like what? Just like write, like, you know, I'm just like, hey, like, could you please just summarize this? Like, I don't know. I'm used to doing it that way. You know, when you're asking for something and stuff like that, like, I don't know if I can just be like, do this now.
Yeah.
But I think that's the way to do it.
You're safe because it's remembering all of this. So when it is ready to come for humans, they'll be like, oh.
You'll be in the
he was super respectful.
This guy's kind.
Second one. At least I go the second one.
Right. But that's why I don't even do it because I'm like scared. Like, hey, like what's going on? You know.
I started like that. I think a lot of people do, and I swear.
Yeah, sure.
I swear that in the earlier days of it, it would give me a better result being nice.
Right.
And it was in my mind.
Right.
And then I slowly started being a bit more. I'm still like, thanks. I give it like positive affirmations. You know? Like it's just like, that was really great. But that's a bit self-serving because it stays on track.
Right. No, that's it.
So from the tech future to the real world now, you just opened a new business here in Phuket.
Brick and mortar shop.
Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Under pressure?
Under pressure, yep.
How would you define your shop or explain your shop to the masses?
Yeah, so it's basically Phuket's, you could say, first graffiti shop. So we sell high quality paint from Thai. We have a Thai brand and we have an Indonesian brand. So this is, it's not like your hardware paint. It's got like a nicer pigment, higher pressure, more suited for walls, for outdoor work with artists. It'll stay longer, the paint and stuff like that. So that's it. Basically, it was hard to find this paint in Phuket, especially as an artist, and we would always have to order from Bangkok or internationally. And sometimes you want to paint today and you got to wait 3-4 days for it to come, and then you know the weather, it's raining, and you're like, okay, next week then. So we were like, you know what, solve this problem by doing it ourselves. So we imported this brand from Indonesia. So we're the only we're only sellers of this brand in Thailand at the moment.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of the brand?
Daiton King.
Daiton King.
Yep. Shout out Daiton King. Yeah.
Yeah, wicked.
Yeah.
So you sell all these paints, but also you're selling like merch and stuff from yourself.
Yes. So we're branching out into. So we have markers, paint supplies, sketchbook stuff, stationery, stickers, and like a bunch of artwork from local artists.
Yep.
Local graffiti artists, street artists who have T-shirts, socks, sort of rolling papers, stuff like that. Some gadgets, fun gadgets that aren't like traditional merchandise, you know, but sort of wacky souvenir items, gift shop items like that. And then also we're trying to do a sort of gallery space.
Cool.
So a place to represent young artists.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So it's like kind of like a hub for
That's it.
a hub for
Community center.
street art and graffiti.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. For the most part, but
Yeah.
we're also open to like traditional artists
Yeah.
and fine
Okay.
artists and stuff.
Yeah.
But just by nature, it attracts sort of a bit more like that culture, street culture stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
How has the reception been? You getting?
It's been great, man. It's been great. Like, yeah, really happy with it so far. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. We've been busy. We've been always active, things to do. I mean, also because it's the opening stage, so always just getting things in. A lot of products are still coming in. Now I'd say 90% is in, but sort of, yeah, just dealing with space, products, and promoting yourself, new company style, like social media playing a big role. But also, like I said, it's so niche, this community, that if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And these people are like loving it. So we have guys coming straight from the airport to our shop.
Fuck yeah.
Straight from the airport.
Yeah.
Before they check in, they're like, graffiti shop, boom, let me buy my spray. And then they check into Phuket, basically.
So there's enough. It's niche, but there's enough people that do it
Yeah.
that. That's fantastic. So there's a community built around it.
100%, 100%. And it's a global, worldwide community.
Yeah.
And lucky that Phuket is like one of the top destinations for people to travel to.
Yeah.
So all these famous guys, or just so many graffiti guys are traveling to Phuket for holiday. And not obviously, but they're like expecting to paint, you know. They're expecting to paint because they're not home. They want to leave their name here. It's a worldwide thing. They want to show that, hey, I'm in Phuket, I'm in Thailand, and my name is here too. Also in Sydney and also here, and then on the way back in Bali, maybe something, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like when they come, they're like hoping to, and now it's like just a Google search, graffiti shop, bam.
Yeah.
You're at Under Pressure. And then we also guide them a bit on sort of how to keep it respectful in Phuket. So just like a basic guide, you know, just like showing them how it's done in Thailand, because it's a new place for them. So just to tell them how police work, how people are, how you need to be respectful.
Yeah.
You don't really need to be like the super vandal killer that you are back home, maybe. I mean, people here are a bit more like happy to see paint and color. It's a bit more refreshing. So you can smile doing it, you know, not just. Yeah.
I mean, you've been in Phuket your whole life, but do you
more
feel
or less,
like a lot of the people coming to the shop that are finding it are, like you said, kind of travelers, but has it awoken some underground people to kind of come and find you that have already been here that maybe were not in your community?
Yes, 100%. So there's this guy who does Muay Thai, actually. Shout out Gino. He's an awesome guy. So he does Muay Thai, and funnily, a French artist came from Paris, and Gino follows the French guy, and he saw the store, and not even, his friend in France follows the artist, and his friend in France told him in Phuket that, hey, there's a graffiti shop. And so he just like drove his bike to our shop one day, and yeah, he's with us every day. He's probably at the shop now. Just hanging out, just hanging out. He's there every day and sketching with us, and we're painting together. So he's become part of the crew. And it's so funny how he found us, because his friend saw someone else's social media in Phuket and told him that, hey, stop fighting, go paint instead. Yeah, basically. So he's basically one of them, yeah.
Did you envision this for yourself, or did it kind of happen quickly?
Yes and no. I mean, like, I wanted this to happen, but I didn't think that like it would happen this fast and people would be this obsessed and like showing this much love, because it's like awesome to just see that, like.
Sick, man. And
super.
If anyone could be running it here, I'm glad it's you.
Cheers, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been nice having a shop.
And like, can a non-rider go down and like?
You're not welcome.
Check it out.
No way. No, of course you can.
As long as you tag your turtle
for the non.
Of course.
My turtle in the mud.
Yeah, why not? A character, a turtle, palm tree. Yes, once you do 5 of that, you're in the game. Yeah.
You got snacks down there? Or?
We've got drinks, beers, just normal coffee, teas, you know.
So the chill out.
Yeah, chill out, exactly. Sketch a bit. I mean, on a rainy day, it's perfect to just gang up, sketch around, share ideas, just show. Many people have different styles, so it's awesome to just be like,
it's awesome.
Check it out.
People hanging out.
That's
in
it.
Places other than bars in Phuket.
That's it. And a safe space for people who like this kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
You know, who can just be and like be happy and talk about it with a smile, rather than being a bit like, this world hates me and I have to you know.
There is a bit of that.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it's an underground culture, so when you're going underground, you sort of are grouped in with a lot of things, especially if you're painting at night to 3, 4 a.m., you start to see weird things, you know, on the streets, and you're part of the street too, right? Like you become like, you're just waiting in sheds, abandoned houses, and like you're just seeing things that normal day-to-day person wouldn't. So you also feel a bit like, okay, like I'm outsided. Yeah, I'm an outsider.
If you need a lookout, Cody and I will come. And,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right,
if
right.
it's too late though, I don't know.
I'll be there.
No,
You just let me
I
know.
like to paint daytime.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in the blazing heat, it's the best time for me.
Yeah.
Just because no one cares to stop. It's just like, it's so hot, they cannot be doing something wrong at the point. You know?
That's the hack. The time.
Exactly.
12.
Exactly. I'm just big hat on, long sleeve, my TOA shirt, and I'm just there at the wall getting to work. Yeah. No one even thinks, even the police are like, it's way too hot for us. It's way too hot.
That's perfect.
That's it. So for me, it's okay. And you get a bit burnt, but worth it, you know.
So what's next for you? Anything you want to push or that we didn't ask you about that you're interested in sharing?
Pretty much that. No, just full time at the shop for now. Have some side projects, doing my freelance artwork for people.
Yep.
So I was working a lot for the weed dispensaries and stuff like that, but now it's sort of taken a little break, slowed down. So just doing a bit more like merchandising for fashion brands in Bangkok and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And just working on my own personal brand and sort of taking it to the next level now and growing a bit more.
Cool.
Yeah.
We want to try something new today.
Sure.
We have rapid fire questions.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
So just don't think.
Sure. I'll try not to, yeah.
And yeah. What did you eat this morning?
Nothing.
What's your favorite colors to paint with?
Orange and black.
What's your spirit animal?
A crane, a stork.
What's your go-to music when painting or drawing?
Drill.
Drill.
Yeah.
What strain are you reaching for at the dispensary?
Nothing anymore. I don't smoke now.
Is copying another artist's style ever acceptable?
Not really.
Will AI destroy humanity?
Maybe, probably.
Who is the most underrated artist in history or today?
Ooh,
Give him a second.
ZR.
ZR.
Didn't need
ZR. Shout out ZR.
And who is the most overrated?
Ooh, nah.
Something popped in there.
Something popped in there. Yeah.
What's the most fucked up topic in your algorithm?
In my algorithm, you mean Instagram?
Yeah, any feed that you have.
Yeah, is there
going?
like a feed that's like heavy on something
Or YouTube.
that shouldn't be in there?
Well, not really. I curate it so well, I feel.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. It's all like exactly what I want to see.
The previous question.
See? That's possible.
It's good.
Yeah.
The previous question that I replaced was, what's your porn category?
Right. Yeah, probably best.
Is the art industry rigged?
Yes and no. Yes and no. If you're talking about ART, yes. Like the big art, yeah. So, yeah.
Does social media ruin authentic creativity in art?
Yeah.
And what's more important, fame or legacy?
Legacy 100%.